Hello everyone, welcome to our English class. Today we will read chapter 3 of Beehive book, The Little Girl by Catherine Mansfield. So first of all, let's tell you about the author. Catherine Mansfield was born in New Zealand and was sent to London for a musical career. She began to write stories at the age of 18. She introduced a new form of psychological realism into the modern story. In the story, The Little Girl, the author describes a delicate father with daughter relationship. Kezia is a very sensitive girl, whereas her father is seemingly harsh and aggressive. The attitude of her father towards her daughter is such as to create a terror in the mind of the daughter. The father doesn't openly demonstrate his love for Kezia. He even beats her to teach her a lesson. So let's read the story according to the paragraphs. So first of all, I will read the first paragraph, then after that I will give you the explanation also. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared. Figure here means shape and avoided. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss. Casual means informal, to which she responded with goodbye, father. And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter, means lighter, down the long road. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there and bring me my slippers. So, in this paragraph, we come to know that the little girl Kezia remained afraid of her father. Before going to work, he would give her a casual kiss, and she also responded by goodbye. But during his father's absence, she always felt a strange sense of relief. When the noise of the carriage became lighter and lighter, she felt relieved herself. In the evening, when he came back, at that time, Kezia stood near the staircase and his loud voice calling for tea into the drawing room, he asked about the newspaper and his slipper also make her more terrified. Now, let's read the second paragraph. Kezia, mother would call to her, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off her father's food. Slowly, the girl would slip down the stairs, more slowly, still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. By that time, he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these shoes and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today? I don't know, father. You don't know? If you stutter like that, stutter here means stammering, mother will go to take you to the doctor. So it means at that time when his father came from office, Kezia's mother called her to take off the shoes of her father. She came down and entered to her room. He looked at her. She got terrified. When his father told her to pull off his boots and take them outside and ask her if she had a good girl, she stammered while answering her father. So he told her if she spoke like this, she had to be taken to the doctor for stammering problem. Now we come to the third paragraph. She never stuttered with other people. Stuttered means stammering, had quite given it up, but only with father because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. What's the matter? What are you looking so wretched about? Rest means unhappy. Mother, I wish you taught this child not to be appear on the brink of suicide. Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth, when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. So it means, surprisingly, Kezia's speech was normal in the presence of other people, but her father's sternness was so intimidating to her that she could not utter word properly. Besides her stammering, the expression of sadness on Kezia's face annoyed her father. He felt that with such expressions, she seemed as if she were on the verge of suicide. Kezias felt that her father was like a giant because he had very big hands and neck. His his mouth seemed big, especially when he yawned. So now let's read the fourth paragraph. On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out. It means lay comfortably on the sofa, his handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. Snoring means breathe noisily while sleeping. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke up and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. Don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. One day, when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that her father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pincushion for a gift out of beautiful piece of yellow silk. So, in this paragraph, we come to know that on one Sunday afternoon, grandmother told her or suggested her to have a nice talk with her parents. Kezia, as usual, found her mother was reading and her father was snoring. She continued to watch for her father to awake. When he woke up, he only asked her not to stare as she looked like an owl. One day, when she was indoors due to the cold, she was told by the grandmother that next week, as her father was having his birthday, she could make a pincushion out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk for him as surprise gift and make her father happy. Now let's read the fifth paragraph. Laboriously with the double cotton, the little girl stitched three sides. But what to fill it with? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she wandered into the mother's bedroom to look for the scraps. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into the tiny pieces, and stuffed her case, then sewed up the fourth side. That night there was a hue and cry. Hue and cry means noise in the house. The father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. Rooms were searched, servants questioned. Finally, the mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on the table in our room? Oh, yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. So, with this paragraph, we come to know that with a lot of hard work, she stitched three sides, but she didn't know what to fill in the cushion. Grandmother was out in the garden, so she went to her mother to look for waste paper. She found some sheets of paper in the father's room. She tore the sheets to the stuff and the pincushion and sewed up the fourth side. On that night, there was a great trouble for missing the papers. That were the papers of his father's speech. When papers were searched, he found them nowhere. Nowhere. All were asked about the papers. Finally, the mother asked to Kezia, and she told her mother that she tore them. Then later on, her mother ordered to come to the dining room at once. Now, read the sixth paragraph. As she was dragged down to where father was pacing to and fro, hands behind his back. To and fro means here and there. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Mother, go to her room and fetch down the damning thing. See that the child's put to the bed that instant. It means after that she was dragged down to the dining room at night to be brought in front of her father, who was extremely angry, and asked about the papers, but she refused, and later on she was taken back to her room for sleep. Now let's read the seventh paragraph. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hands. I am going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. But it was for your birthday. Down came the ruler to her little pink palms. So, in this paragraph, we come to know that the child laid alone in her bed crying. Then her father came to her room with a ruler. She screamed and tried to hide under the bedclothes, but he pulled her out and ordered to hold out her hands so as to be taught her not to touch other things. She tried to reason that it was for his birthday, but he didn't listen and let her and hit her little pink palms with a ruler. Now we will read the eighth paragraph. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. What did God make fathers for? She sobbed. Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, Pat. You will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, and she quickly put both hands behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. Now, let's read the next paragraph. The McDowlands live next door. They have 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. Tag means a children's game. The father with the boy, Mao, on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging on his coat pockets, ran around and around the flower beds, shaking with laughter. Once she saw the boys turn the hose on him. Hose means a water pipe, and he tried to catch them, laughing all the time. Then it was she decided there were different sorts of fathers. Sorts means types. Suddenly one day mother became ill, and she and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice, the cook. That was all right in the daytime, but while Alice was putting her to the bed, she grew suddenly afraid. So, in this paragraph, we understand that the McDowlands were Kezia's neighbor. So, she observed that they had the 5 children. She looked through the fence that he was playing happily with his children. He laughed when they turned the pipe on him and ran about flower beds with his young son Mao on his shoulders and his two little daughters hanging on his coat pockets. So he concluded that all fathers are not alike. When one day her mother fell ill and her grandmother had to accompany her mother, so she was alone in the house with their cook Alice. The daytime was fine, but at night she was terrified to be alone. So let's read the next paragraph. What will I do if I have a nightmare? Nightmare means dream, she asked. I often have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It is all gets whispery. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks, and don't you scream and wake your poor pa. But the same old nightmare came, the butcher with a knife and a rope, she who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, Grandma, Grandma. She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. What's the matter? He said. In this paragraph, we understood that she was thinking about herself as she was afraid of the nightmares, bad dreams, which she usually saw but was comforted by her grandmother who was always around her. But now, as she was alone, so Alice told her to sleep and pulled her socks, and she comforted her by saying that no to be frightened. But as she slept, she had a horrible dream and she saw a butcher with a knife and a rope. The butcher came closer and closer to her with a dreadful smile. After looking at that dream, she screamed loudly. Her father heard her scream and he came to her room. Now we will read the next paragraph. Oh, a butcher, a knife. I want Granny. He blew out the candle, bent down, and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. A half smoked cigar was near his reading lamp. He put away the paper, threw the cigar in the fireplace, then carefully tucked up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep, still, with the butcher's smile all about her. It seemed she crept close to him. Snuggled means making comfortable her, head under his arms, held tightly to his shirt. Then the dark did not matter, she lay still. Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm, said father. So, in this paragraph, we are able to understand that when he entered his room, he refers to his father. She was crying with fear and asking about Granny. Her father lifted her in his arms, took her to his bed, and made her sleep close to him. She saw a newspaper on the bed, a half smoked cigar, which was near the reading lamp. He put away the newspaper and threw the cigar into the fireplace and tugged up the child. She felt secure and protected. Now we will read the last paragraph. Tired out, he slept. Before the little girl, a funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than the grandmother, but it was a nice hardness. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. MacDonald. She has turned up all his beautiful writing. She stirred suddenly and sighed. What's the matter? Asked her father. Another dream. Oh, said the little girl, my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What's a big heart you have got, father dear? So, in this paragraph, means her father was so tired that he went to sleep earlier than her. Little Kezia saw her father closely and realized that he was not a giant and she thought that as she earlier thinking about him to be, he could not pamper his little like Mr. MacDonald because he worked harder than him. She laid there and she was looking her hard and came to know that her father is having a big heart full of warmth and care. Thank you so much. I hope you will be able to understand this chapter very well.